We're with David Shapiro. He is a criminal attorney in San Diego, California. He's agreed to answer some online questions related to date rape. With that said, David, let's go into our first question. I'm being threatened by an acquaintance of date rape. I have not been charged, and I really don't think I will be. What should I do?
Well, the first thing is it's a good thing to be confident, but you don't want to be that confident. The first thing you should do is make sure you keep your mouth closed and don't speak to that person anymore who's making these false accusations against you. And the second thing you should do pretty quickly after keeping your mouth closed is open it and speak to a criminal defense attorney who knows what they're doing in the community where the allegations are allegedly being made. Because what you want to do is have someone on standby at the very least. If there's an investigation, you want someone to reach out to law enforcement, let law enforcement know that you've retained counsel, and that any future communications they wish to have with you should come through your attorney. And you also want an attorney to advise you and to be aware of certain things. You want to be aware of something known as a controlled call. Hang on one second, we have a siren blaring by my office here in San Diego. Okay, so you want to be aware of something known as a controlled call. Controlled call will be where this person calls you and says, hey, I'm going through therapy, and they said that if you admit what you did to me that night, and when we had sex and when I didn't want to, then I'll be okay and I'll forgive you. And sometimes people say stuff just to, oh yeah, all right, whatever, yeah, I'm sorry, just to get off the phone. And then that's the key piece of evidence that winds up getting you convicted in court. I've lived through it as a criminal defense attorney where jurors have told me afterwards, if it wasn't for the controlled call, despite all this other evidence, we would have acquitted your client because we were not convinced beyond a reasonable doubt of his or her guilt. So keep your mouth closed, only open it to speak to a criminal defense attorney, and be proactive, not reactive, meaning don't just be so confident, no, nothing's going to happen, and then the police come or they want to talk to you and they catch you off guard and you're not prepared for it, and you wind up doing things or saying certain things that might compromise your case.
Okay, next question was kind of similar. Do you have experience in defending this specific charge?
Yes, as my last answer probably indicated, yes, I do. I've handled cases in court. I've been successful in preventing charges from being filed, where I've been hired in a pre-file capacity. Basically, like question number one, where someone comes into my office and says, hey, my ex-girlfriend or my girlfriend's making these accusations. I don't know if the police are involved, or the police are involved and detective so-and-so wants to speak to me, so they come and hire me, I get involved, and sort of be that liaison and your shield between law enforcement, the prosecutor's office, and or the alleged victim in the case. To make sure that you don't say anything, because what you say could be used against you. What I say cannot. So, a lot of times I ask law enforcement, like, hey, send me a list of questions you have for my client. We'll determine what if anything, I want to answer. And then I can answer them very generally, some of them, if we think that's in your best interest, but it's nothing that can ever be used against you in court. So, that usually sometimes works pretty effectively. I've had detectives and law enforcement officials send me a list of the questions that they had. Other times that basically says, okay, we're not going to get a statement from your client. So it sometimes puts an end to the investigation in a good way for you. So I definitely have experience at all levels, all stages in the proceedings of sexual assault type cases. Absolutely.
Okay. What type of fees can I expect if I hire your firm?
Well, the fees vary. The fees vary on a lot of things. The fees will vary first and foremost as to what stage the case is in. So obviously, if it's a case that's already in court, that's going to be significantly more money than a case that maybe, like I alluded to earlier, a pre-file investigation where you might just be under investigation, or it might just be some rumors going around where there's no court appearances required, but still the investigation, client conferences with law enforcement, DA's office, whoever would be included. That would be a lot cheaper, obviously, than if you have to go to court, and the amount, time, commitment that it takes, and scheduling commitment that it takes when you have a court case. A lot will also depend on the strength of the allegations and the number of allegations being made. One alleged act of sexual misconduct would be a lot less probably than if they're saying this is over a period of time, or if there are multiple alleged victims making these claims, multiple people saying you did A, B, C, D, and E. So there's a wide range of things depending on where the case is within San Diego County, or if it's in Southern California, how much travel time is required. So many variables. The best way to find out, is obviously to consult with an attorney who knows what they're doing, and either he or she or their office and staff can, give you the appropriate insight as to what that office would charge.
Okay. I'm in the military and I'm being accused of sexual assault on a civilian. This is completely unfounded. I'm sure I will not be facing any jail time, as this is a complete lie. but I really do not want the military to find out. Is this possible?
Well, you have a couple. Yeah, you have a couple of things going on there. Even though the person making this claim is a civilian, you could still deal with repercussions with the military, irrespective of whether or not the case goes to criminal court. So, that's something a lot of times where people get arrested or they're under investigation, and the best way to get them to cooperate, or the best way to put some heat on them, that law enforcement does, is they find out they're in the military, and then they start calling their sergeant or their command, and put heat on them that way. Because my experience with representing people in the military is that their commands want them to cooperate with the investigation, even if that's contrary to what their civilian criminal defense attorney is advising them to do. So, you have a lot of things going on here. Definitely should be taken seriously. What the military finds out, the military is going to find out. If there's a criminal court case, it's public record. What I mean by that is anybody could go down to the criminal business office, give your name and date of birth, and find out what your criminal history is, and if there's any open cases and what the charges are against you, and at least the first name and last initial, if it's a sexual assault case, of the complaining witness or the alleged victim. So, the military can find out. If they do find out, you have another problem, then you need a military lawyer. But, you definitely don't want to take these allegations lightly, even if they're unfounded, because you have way too much to lose as it relates to possibly your freedom in the criminal court, and equally, if not more importantly, everything you worked hard for with your military service. So, same thing as I would say anybody, particularly someone in your situation. Be proactive, not reactive. Meaning, get yourself a good attorney to look into this, be there, advise you accordingly to make sure that you don't give any legs to the investigation that might otherwise be dead.
Okay, and the final question we have, and I don't know if this is applicable to you, but it was posted, so let's go ahead and go with it. Can I countersue someone that has been charging me based on a lie?
Well, a couple of things there. First, countersue. Countersue implies that you're being sued. And there's this mistaken belief that, especially when it relates to, an alleged victim making a claim of sexual assault or any type of assault for that matter, that they're the one pressing charges. They're the one suing you. Well, in criminal court, it doesn't work like that. They file a complaint, or a complaint is made, and they are the complaining witness, the alleged victim, whatever you want to call them. They are not the person bringing charges against you. It is the city of San Diego, if it's a misdemeanor in the city of San Diego, or it is the district attorney's office of the county of San Diego, assuming the case is in San Diego to begin with. They are the people bringing the charge on behalf of, and I always hate when they say this, the people of the state of California. So it's not necessarily the other person. If it's a criminal case, you're certainly not being sued. You're being charged with a crime or crimes. So countersue implies that you're being sued civilly. As far as if you were to beat the criminal case, the first step is, and a lot of civil attorneys who I associate with, especially in these types of situations, say, hey, win the criminal case or get the criminal case dismissed or not filed, and then we can talk about a civil remedy. So the first goal would be to beat the criminal case, and then you could possibly look into having your arrest record sealed and ask the court to make a finding of factual innocence. That may go a long way. And then you would consult with, and I would put you in the right, point you in the right direction with the right people, if you so choose, to hire experienced civil attorneys who possibly could look into a lawsuit. And you also have to have damages too. So even if you were wronged, and make no mistake about it, you would be if you were accused of a crime, then the issue is, how do you quantify the amount of damages, whether it's loss of reputation, if you lost your job, if you had to pay for someone like me to beat the criminal case, or prevent charges from being filed. So you could definitely do that, but a lot of times people are all crazy about suing people and this, that. If you're charged with a sexual assault crime, you got a lot more things to worry about, a lot more important things to worry about first, then worry about the civil stuff later. I'm not saying disregard it, but your priority has to be avoiding a criminal conviction, many of which would require lifetime registration as a sex offender, particularly in the context of sexual assault crimes, jail time, prison time, what have you.
Okay, excellent. If you have any more questions for David, all you need to do is post them in the comments section below. If it's a private matter, you don't want to post online, it makes a lot of sense. You can actually just give his office a call and he'll answer your questions for you directly. He does offer free consultations. David, thank you for your time. Yeah,
my pleasure. By all means, there is no such thing as a stupid question when it comes to these things. Very generally speaking, less is more when accused of these crimes, meaning keep your mouth closed, hire a good attorney who knows what they're doing. Make sure you do that. And that attorney should be able to minimize the damage already done and should be able to advise you accordingly to put you in the best position possible.
Thanks, David.
You got it. Take care.